All right, Marfoogle TV going live in 3, 2. All right. What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. Let's get right into it. The president says Maduro's days are numbered, but doubts that the U.S. will go to war with Venezuela. Him saying that he doubts we'll go to war is pretty crazy, considering it should be just like, we're not going to war with Venezuela. But again, they say they doubt they will go to war with Venezuela. And that Maduro's days are numbered, as in he's got a number on his head, just like in, again, one of the best Michael J. Fox movies where, The Frighteners, I think it was, where he is essentially up for seeing heaven. Donald has sent mixed signals against potential U.S. intervention in Venezuela, playing down concerns of imminent war against the South American country. And it says, but saying its leader Nicolas Maduro's days were numbered. The president's remarks made during a CBS interview released on Sunday come as the U.S. amasses military units in the Caribbean and has conducted multiple strikes on alleged drug trafficking vessels. Remember, these are equivalent to speedboats. They've got 8 warships there with a full strike carrier group. And that's all to catch these speedboats. Asked during the 60 Minutes program if the U.S. was going to war against Venezuela, says, I doubt it. I don't think so. However, when asked if Maduro's days as president were numbered, he replied, I would say, yeah. I think so, yeah. Maduro, who faces indictment on drug charges in the U.S., has been accused of using drug trafficking as a pretext for imposing regime change in Caracas to seize Venezuelan oil. Which anything could be true at this point, but what we do know is that the Congress doesn't have much part in this because they are essentially superseded by the fact that this is dealing with terrorist organizations. We're going to talk about this and much, much more on tonight's show, so stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. We're going to go over a lot. We're going to fill you in on everything that has developed over the weekend, so just get your popcorn. It's going to be a good one. All right, thank you so much, Charlie, Dawn Wells, Diane Kelly, Sigrid, Julie C. Somebody said, what does it mean that Venezuela has gone dark? Venezuela, to my knowledge, has not gone dark. We'll talk about the country that has gone dark. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. Sigrid, Julie C., Lord Andrew, TJ Dilly, Nanny Anderson, See Here Think, Stephanie Munoz, so many more in the chat. Thank you so much, Bobby Sue, for not only being an awesome mod, but, of course, being an awesome person as well. All right, Quintress and so many more. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And no mandates, not a Fed. Yo, what is going on? Hey, nice to see you. All right, let's bring in my co-host internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So we're both going to have to talk about this one because this one's nuts. But why don't you go over the newest thing with the Interstellar Object Atlas?
Yeah, 31 Atlas. So astronomers are caught off guard by how quickly a 31 Atlas's luminosity has grown in the observations by 2 different solar observatories. So one of them is the Solar Terrestrial Relations Observatory called STEREO, And the other is the European Space Agency Solar and Heliospheric Observatory called SOHO, as well as the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's GEOS 19 weather satellites. Relying on these observatories as stopgap measures, since the Earth-based observatories won't be able to track the object until it reemerges from behind the sun, which won't happen until early December. But the reason for 31's rapid brightening, which far exceeds the brightening rate of most Oort cloud comets as similar, remains unclear. So they don't understand why it's all of a sudden getting brighter.
So everything with this atlas, a lot of folks in our fam, say this is the distraction, that this is the stupid thing that, they try to keep us talking about at the water cooler rather than all of the other crazy stuff. I don't know what to say about this thing, but it is pretty crazy because of all of the things that have lined up as far as now the government is shut down. Of course, NASA, there's less eyes looking at this thing as there should be. And this thing is now behind the sun, and until it comes out, we only have these certain systems. Now, I don't know much about the stereo system and the SOHO, I think it's called. But I know that, of course, Wages World does. He actually watches those systems all the time for solar activity, and I'd love to have him on in the next couple days and see what he has seen, if he's seen anything crazy. Because there's other systems watching out in the cosmos at this thing, and I just wonder if there's anything strange that really isn't being publicized. As far as, some folks think that this is an alien ship that is behind the sun. Every single week, there has been something that is just, abnormal or something that we've never seen before, and that's exactly why people are continuing to be, stumped by this thing. So again, it's very odd. Since it was first spotted in early July, scientists have been fascinated by this thing, the third object in history to have been spotted cruising through our solar system. And I believe that there was some debate if this was actually the fourth, that possibly one even landed in our waters off of the Washington and Oregon coast. But again, that's a whole nother story in itself. The visitor, which is generally suspected to be a comet, has been racing through our system at a blistering velocity, 137,000 miles per hour. So it is going much, much faster. That's one reason why they think that it may be brightening at the rate that it was, because it was very unusual. What do you guys think about this at this point? And, what do you think it's going to do next? What kind of new thing do you think we'll see coming up next? Olga Turan, thank you. Old school Foogle fam, thank you so much. Thanks for being you. Thank you. Well, thank you for being you, Olga. And I appreciate the super, and I appreciate Jonathan Floming for not only being a member, but being a member for 23 months. Says, much love all. I'm here every night in the shadows. Well, awesome to see you. And J-Pass, A. Vincent Design, Hope Between the Dreams. Hope to see that content coming. And then Days, Briar Patch, and so many more. Thank you so much for being here tonight. All right, Dex, let's talk about China denies Trump's claim in 60 Minutes about this nuclear weapons debacle. Why don't we go over that?
So let's jump to what Trump said. There was a 60-minute interview this weekend, and he said China's testing them too, referring to nukes. He said you just don't know about it. He said Russia's testing and China's testing, but they don't talk about it. We're an open society. We're different. We talk about it. We have to talk about it because otherwise you people are going to report, and they don't have reporters that are going to be writing about it, but we do. So what he's basically insinuating is that there is nuclear testing going on in secret in Russia. There is nuclear testing going on in secret in China, and we're not testing at all, and we haven't been. Now, of course, China's foreign ministry responded saying that Beijing has conducted, that the assertions from Trump that Beijing has conducted the clandestine nuclear weapons testing is, a flat out lie, or they're denying it wholeheartedly. So who do you believe? Do you believe China, or do you believe President Trump as it relates to these two adversaries and their potential clandestine testing of nuclear weapons?
Yeah, I mean, you wonder about some of these things, like the weird 7.0 earthquakes that have happened off of the Kamchatka, and you wonder, was that a test of the Poseidon, by Russia? There's been several, events where there was that tsunami kind of alarm that went off by the Kamchatka, and folks wondered if that was a Poseidon test. Well, what if it was? He's opening the door for tons and tons of possibilities here. if we take this at face value, they are testing nuclear weapons and possibly even blowing them up, and they're just not talking about it. We don't know what the truth is. Obviously, we're lied to every single day. You should take everything with not only a grain of salt, you should be pouring it all over your body like you're trying to invade a medieval castle. So this is just odd. I wonder what the hell this is going to open the doors to in the coming weeks and what is actually going to be said. North Korea is the only nation known to have conducted a nuclear detonation. That's the important part, a detonation, since the 1990s. China's last known nuclear explosive test was in 1996. So they're saying that they've actually been detonating nuclear weapons, and they're just not talking about it. So very, very big distinction there between what's going on and what we're being told. Before we move on, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. One of the things that could happen if we ever have any kind of nuke go off, especially in our atmosphere, is an EMP blast that would knock down our grid. Our grid is archaic and old, and it's one of our biggest vulnerabilities. It is something that our government is currently working on hardening things for their infrastructure. But as far as protecting you, you can just look at, North Carolina, Hawaii, New Orleans, or any of the other events where basically they drop the ball on civilians. We have to protect ourselves. We can't, depend on somebody to come save us. So if you do want to get home after an EMP or even a CME, a solar event from the sun, this device, EMP Shield, will protect you against both. This is a device that will not only ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second, that's trillionths of a second before it fries your device, but it will also protect your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, generators, satellites. Of course, you've got Starlink in there included with their new devices. It will also act as a surge protector for your entire home if you wire it into your home. It'll protect everything within 250 linear feet. There's nothing like this that you can buy in the store. Go over and check it out, marfooglenews.com/GMP. This is the same company that has helped out DHS, DOD, now DOW, Department of War, FBI, and of course the Air Force. So go check it out. It's military tested at Keystone. Make sure to use that code MARF, though, because you will not only give us credit for it and give us a small commission, you will also help our independent media at the same time as getting massively prepped. All right, let's go into the next piece here, which is from operational point of view, war between Russia and Ukraine has reached a dead end, NATO Admiral says. Before I do that, Just Julia, thank you so much for sending out 5 badges to the rest of the Foogle fam. We really do appreciate it. Thank you, Just Julia, and thank you so much for just backing us up and being our backup out there in the world. All right, Dex, so they're saying that it's a dead end, that Russia and Ukraine is just kind of butting heads at this point.
Right. The head of NATO's military committee, Admiral Giuseppe Cavo Dragoni, believes the Kremlin leader, Vladimir Putin, has already suffered a strategic defeat due to the attack on Ukraine. He said this in an interview, and according to him, from an operational point of view, the war between Russia and Ukraine has reached an impasse, and the time has practically come for negotiations because it's a waste of human lives. In other words, nobody's making significant progress. It's not going one way or the other, and all it is just a meat grinder at this point. Those are my words or my interpretation of what he's saying, just to be fair. But despite Russia's slow, gradual progress on the battlefield, Dragon considers this a war, a strategic defeat for Vladimir Putin. And I guess others would suggest that too, because I thought when he first was going in, everybody suspected he would roll right through Ukraine in, a couple weeks or a couple months at the longest. And here we are years and years later, and they just have a small amount of territory and nobody's moving the lines either one way or the other. So, maybe it's an obvious statement. It certainly probably is for a lot of us because we've sat around and watched it and studied this for years now, the progress or lack thereof on either side of this war. And of course, the lack of progress on negotiating an ending to this war.
Yeah. So as far as the war with Russia and Ukraine, what is your opinion on what is going on there? Do you think that this is a dead end? Do you think that they have reached an impasse and they need to figure something else out? Let us know in the comments down below. And then as they're saying it's a dead end, UK is now supplying Ukraine with additional Storm Shadow missiles. If you remember, Storm Shadow missiles are the ones that can go deep into Russia. I believe they said that it can even hit Moscow, which is kind of funny. We've debated and everybody's freaked out about potential Tomahawks that could go into Moscow, but the Storm Shadows I think already can. But will they ever choose to do so is the question. They, of course, sent little drones into Moscow and things like that, but sending these big missiles that can take out a city block, that's a whole nother story. So they have now received more of these Storm Shadows, just so you get a reminder of what these things look like here. I'll show you. These are the Storm Shadows. These are UK's badass long-range, mid-range missile, and they have given them more. They've transferred additional Storm Shadow cruise missiles to Ukraine, boosting Ukraine's long-range strike capability against targets deep inside of Russia. The news comes as U.S. President Donald Trump continues to hesitate over whether to provide them with U.S.-made Tomahawk long-range missiles, which can essentially hit the other side of Russia. Those Tomahawks, I don't know what difference they will make in the grand scheme of things, but those Storm Shadows, it seems like they have a significant range, but they haven't really chose to use all of that range, and they have chose to use them for other purposes. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Dex, do you have any comments about the Storm Shadows?
Yeah, just a quick measurement from like the top northern point, maybe a little to the east of Ukraine, is about 286 miles from Moscow. So, these missiles can do about 155 to 350 miles. Now, I don't know that it's strategically wise for them to be stored or launched from that close of a proximity. So they might have to back it up some for some safety. But yeah, I mean, in theory, they could. And I don't know if these are actually able to be launched from an airplane or not. I can't recall. But nonetheless, they do have the striking distance to reach Moscow. So that would be interesting if they go so deep, if they actually do that.
Yeah, great point. And then we have mining company says it's identified hugely valuable material on the surface of the moon. It's like if there isn't enough like predictive programming in the movies, like Don't Look Up, how they said, oh, well, that's just, this comet, apparently we don't want to knock it out of the sky. We actually want to break it up apart and mine it. Well, this is the same kind of plot that's played out over the last 4 or 5 years. And it is quite strange because if you go back to, my findings 6, 7, 8 years ago, I thought it was very, very strange, all of the things that were going on in space. And supposedly, they say that nothing is coming our way that could destroy our planet. But now they say that some things might actually be headed and might actually hit our moon. And they've created all of these systems to knock things out of the sky. Well, now they have, again, these findings that they think that our moon has all of this valuable stuff on it. The United States and China are caught in a race to return to the moon, and they say return to the moon. And at this point, I think it sounds less and less crazy every single day to question that. Like 15, 20 years ago, you'd be like, oh, you're one of those people. Now it's like when you say, oh, yeah, we landed on the moon in 1967. Now people go, oh, you're one of those people. It's like, and it says, return to the moon. The two superpowers are hoping to reach the lunar surface by 2028. It's so crazy how fast we got there in the first place, by the way. I just want to point this out. It was like, oh, we're in an arms race with Russia. Oh, let's get somebody with a whiteboard and, you know what, even throw a chalkboard in there too and get a bunch of professors and let's get there in 5 months. Okay, sure, let's do it. And boom, done. But yet it takes us now so many years to get to the moon. It's just so absurd with the computer power we have now compared to what we have then. And it's just not a matter of furthering our scientific understanding of the closest cosmic neighbor. Either companies are clamoring to exact highly valuable resources from the moon, as Islamabad-based Center for Aerospace and Security Studies research assistant Mustafa Bilal, which was a freaking mouthful, wrote in a new opinion piece for Space News. Case in point, Helsinki-based cryogenics company Bell Fors signed an agreement with space commercialization startup Interloon last month, agreeing to purchase up to 10,000 liters of lunar helium-3 extracted from the moon. A deal they say could be worth $300 million. As far as predictive programming, can you guys name the movie where helium-3 was being mined from the moon? Like straight up helium-3. If you remember the scenes from the movie, it had helium-3 domes on the moon, these giant, factories and things. Can any of you name that movie? Put it in the chat if you actually know the answer to that. It says helium-3, a stable isotope of helium, is a highly sought-after resource as it could fuel nuclear power reactors either on the moon or back home or help cool quantum computers. It's extremely rare on Earth, but more common on the moon, thanks to solar winds bombarding its unprotected surface with the particles, making it a motivating factor for the private industry to reach the lunar surface. It says Interloon has a tough task ahead to prove that harvesting helium-3 on the moon is economically feasible. For one, the company's excavators may have to chew through millions of tons of regolith to harvest enough of the isotope, as Forbes reported last month, as it's not exactly abundant. Oh, and the other thing, they have to figure out how to actually get to the moon. Dex, what do you think they're doing up there? What do you think's going on with this helium-3 thing?
Well, nothing will speed up our trip to the moon like finding expensive money or valuable items there that and having the space industry be commercialized, which now it is. Remember, back when we allegedly went to the moon in the 60s, it was run by government organizations. So there was a lot of control and limitations and restrictions on who was allowed to go. Now anybody can go. So if there's, trillions of dollars to be grabbed, it's real easy for these investors to just pour money into, SpaceX or other big companies to just continuously expand at a much greater scale ventures to go into space if they can get a massive return on that money.
Yep. Money will be the key to getting to the moon for the first, second time, fifth time, eighth time. We used to go all the time, and we can't now because we have so much more technology, and our rocket technology is just literal rocket science now, and it's unbelievable how much we've evolved. But it's harder now to get to the moon. And then North Koreans left in the dark as foreign broadcasts are cut. Now, there's been a broadcast that's been going on. We've talked about this for close to 10 years. There's a broadcast that goes into North Korea, and those who can actually receive it end up getting a lot of the information from the outside world. As you may know, they have fed them lines of propaganda inside the country, such nuggets like Kim Jong-un doesn't use the bathroom. In fact, he's so holy and godly that he doesn't poop. Such classics as that left out on the holiday album, that is all they get. If they don't get this, again, some of the stuff that ends up coming in the country, if they don't find a Friends DVD and get killed by some sort of SAM missile, then this broadcast was all they had. Well, apparently, the U.S. and South Korean governments have halted the operations of media organizations that were broadcasting into North Korea, having tens of thousands of residents of the world's most isolated country in the dark about what is happening in the outside world. Says, quote, "This is very bad for the people of North Korea and a really serious setback for human rights there. The governments are denying the people of North Korea the freedom of access of information, and they now will all only hear Pyongyang's propaganda. Previously, North Koreans could surreptitiously tune into Radio Free Asia and Voice of America, VOA, from the U.S., as well as South Korea's Voice of Freedom broadcasts. Activists have said that the broadcast helped North Koreans endure hardship by allowing them to hear things the regime does not want them to know." One thing I wonder about this, Dex, is like if you were found with a Friends DVD, you'll get put at a firing squad. How, what was the punishment for listening to the radio if you could listen to this stuff? Or did you have to have special radios? Like the first time I heard this, I was thinking in my head that somebody with a lot of radio know-how was secretly black market making radios for people to hear this message like some sort of underground railroad. What you
Well,
know,
I'm just assuming they're using standard radio equipment there. Like they don't have some specialty radio. It's was AM and then it became FM, and you got different distances, probably longer distances with the AM radio modulation. But if that's what Pyongyang uses to broadcast and has its own distribution for its propaganda, as they call it, then all you have to do is just broadcast another channel across those signals deep enough and with enough strength to reach into the country. And anybody who has that radio, unless they, I guess, fix them so they can't tune beyond a certain station, as long as they can tune and adjust that rotary dial, so to speak, into the right frequency, then they'll pick it up. And I think that's what was going on. And now it's all been cut off. And it's not been cut off by Kim, it's being cut off by the outside, the ones that were providing it, the United States, South Korea, and others that I guess presumably were helping broadcast that.
well, with this, with this situation, it makes you wonder, like, why did they stop the broadcasts? What comes next? If they are stopping the broadcast, is this a sign to the Korean government that they're about to do something? Why would they stop them? I mean,
well, they stopped the broadcasting of the music. Remember, they were playing K-pop music over the giant speakers across the border. They stopped sending the letters and the pamphlets and the leaflets over, telling them what they were missing. They stopped sending dollar bills, etc. So all of these things have stopped, and now we've reached the point where they're stopping one of the last major things, which was, this freedom of information, so to speak, by broadcasting the radio information about what's going on in the free world. So, it begs the question why. We did see a change, a shift in politics there in South Korea to a organization or a political party that was more lenient and towards China and more wanting to have better, closer relations with North Korea. And if that party is trying to, prove that it wants to do something, then maybe this is its way of doing that. And maybe they think there's a longer term strategy of improving the relations with North Korea as opposed to continuously fighting them. But I certainly feel for the people of North Korea that did rely on that outside information that now no longer have it and pretty much just stuck living in their hermit black hole, so to speak.
Well, we'll end up following it. We'll see where it ends up leading us. Maybe it will lead us further down the rabbit hole. And before we move on, make sure to go check out Energy if you haven't already. This is our recommendation for a solar generator. As far as a solar generator goes, this is going to be the toughest and most reliable on the market, because this is not only one of the generators that won the SBR Phase 2 contract, it is going to be shipped out to the Army and has. Again, this is a reinforced steel framed generator that is water and weather resistant with built-in heaters to actually counterdict any kind of extreme cold temperatures. As you guys know, in cold temperatures, these generators do not work as well as far as solar anything, lithium anything. So they actually have a built-in heater to keep them going and to keep them going efficiently. Not only that, they are modular. You can add up to 40 plus batteries. It's insane how many you can actually hook up to this thing. But most people are going to just want one or two to be able to hand and take with them wherever they go. You can take this to work, charge your tools, use your tools with them. You can use it during a storm. If the power goes out, you're going to have a fully charged battery that is, again, each one of these is 1,000 watt hours. So you can add up what your needs are and get as many batteries as you need. But there are only so many head units available to the public. Once they are gone, they are gone. We have not sold these for over a year, and that is because of the demands of the Army. These are the same ones that are going to be on the back of Humvees. If you want the same one, go over to marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY, and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. This thing is an absolute beast. Make sure to go check it out. Make sure to also use that code Marfoogle because you are going to get a discount and help our channel out at the same time. See, you're thinking, yes, over the weekend I rested a lot. Last week, as you guys know, the last 2 weeks were just absolute hell. It was like one sickness came home from school, and then another came home from school, and then another. And it was just absolute hell last week. It just kept rotating through our family. So I am very, very happy to not be sick for the first time in like 2 weeks. All right, and then Trump says China's Xi has assured him that he won't take action on Taiwan during his term. So he's saying until 2028 that he won't go to war with Taiwan. I mean, one thing this tells you is that he's going to take Taiwan, that this is going to be in our future. We are absolutely going to deal with a massive war. But they're basically telling the public, hey, don't worry about it. We're kicking the can further down the street, and it's going to be after President Trump's term, which they would probably say anyways. During the campaign trail, they'll say, if whatever his name wins or whatever her name wins, we're going to go to war. But if this person wins, we'll be in peacetime, right? That's already going to be the whole thing. They're already going to say, oh, well, China's going to take Taiwan if this person wins. Well, no matter who wins or who loses, they're saying that this war is coming. All of the major guesses and the major statements, the memos by high-ranking military officials, some of which were not supposed to be public, you have a guy that's basically in charge of all of the military hardware that's being shipped around the world, Mike Minahan. He said that 2027 is the year that they are going to go to war. I think it's actually going to be late 2026. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Dex, he's telling them that there's not going to be a war. He's going to assure him that not during his term.
Well, this is a little bit of Trumpism here. So it's interesting because he said that he did not speak at all with Xi about Taiwan when he was in his meeting one-on-one in South Korea. But then he did come out and say he has openly said, and his people have openly said at meetings, meaning in the past, we would never do anything while President Trump is president because they know the consequences. So in other words, he's such a strong, powerful president, they would never take Taiwan while he's in charge. So gotta read between the lines on this one. Did they really tell him that on the side, or is he insinuating they said that because of the fact that, he's made many claims like Russia would have never invaded Ukraine if I was president during that time, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe those would have been true statements, and we don't know. It's easy to say what could have happened when you're armchair quarterback in, the game. So
interesting comment about Atlas. Conan Egan says Atlas will disappear into the cosmos just like it appeared without us knowing or being able to do a damn thing about it. Stop being stupid and gullible. Well, I don't know what I'm being gullible about, but again, let me know, Conan. And then Paul Panda says that apparently if it was a natural origin, for it to accelerate as it did past close to the sun, it would need to have shed approximately 15% of its mass, Marfoogle. So I'm assuming that there's a debate about the Atlas in the chat. The one thing is the Oumuamua, that was the weird one. That one that accelerated after it passed by Earth, that one most definitely, named Scout, was one of the weirdest things out there. And if there is at all a chance that everything they told us was true on that, then that creeped me the hell out. As far as this new interstellar object, from the get-go, from the discovery of it, it was like immediately, once they found out the trajectory, they said this thing is absolutely weird. And every single week, it's been one thing after another. But if I'm gullible on something, let me know what I've said is fact, because I don't say anything is fact. I say this is interesting, or I think it's, interesting. So let me know. Alice will disappear into the cosmos and man will never know what it is. Well, yeah, probably. If there's any claim otherwise, then let me know. Tartan Grammy Space Troll, the world courts need to get corruption out of every sector of society so we can finally grow as a people and have a beautiful world. I don't think there's too many people that would disagree. It's like saying, hey, the world would be way better with world peace. But our system is so broken, and for us to fix it, everyone would have to sacrifice. And I think that people don't realize that as well. Everyone would sacrifice almost everything. And it would be really hard at first, but it would bring on the world that we're thinking would be there. We can't even have money and have the world that people are talking about. You can't have currency even and have that world, right? It has to be a Star Trek world where there isn't a currency anymore. because there is no world peace without it. As long as there's something that somebody else covets, there's not going to be world peace. I just don't think it's possible. And that's the craziest thing ever, because if you really think about it, as long as there's money, the root of all evil, or anything that if you have and somebody else doesn't have, if you can open doors with something you have that other people don't, as long as that exists, there's going to be murder, jealousy, there's going to be sin, there's going to be everything under the tree.
Didn't they have that in Star Trek too?
What? Currency?
Well, not currency, but power struggles, murder.
Oh, yeah.
All those things, because there were other things that weren't necessarily dollar bills that had value or power, or whether you needed more lithium crystals or whatever it might be, right?
Yeah, but with Star Trek, it was mostly other planets or other cultures, right? The Federation had it pretty well down.
Yeah, well, that's just because you expand it beyond. So, replace other cultures with other countries, and at a micro level, that's what it looks like here. At a macro level, that's what it looks like there.
Instead of other countries, other planets, right?
Yeah.
Other species. And then the Trump administration is planning new mission in Mexico against cartels, current and former officials say. So this says all over it that something is massively, massively different behind the scenes than it is up front. As far as planning a new mission in Mexico, ever since the new president of Mexico was put in, we thought something weird with Mexico was going to happen. Obviously, a lot of the Fugel fam spotted a lot of really weird inconsistencies with what's going on down in Mexico in the first place. Then, of course, when the real start of this was the Colorado thing, the hotel and the apartment buildings being taken over by the MS-13, or I forget what it was. The cartels were taking over the parts of Colorado, Aurora.
Yeah, Trenda gang, whatever it's called.
Thank you. What was it? Trendiagua. That gang was taking over the parts in Colorado, and that's when this really kind of started and reared its head. And everybody had questions. Everybody debated whether what was happening was happening. Reporters that went close by said they were whistling and doing all these things that they do in South America that the cartels do when anybody was near. Any kind of law enforcement, they would whistle and let them know. We got this narrative that, these cartels have basically moved into Colorado, Aurora, into some shanty apartment, and they were turning that into their base of operations. Since then, there was the narrative that was put out that this terroristic operation is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that we are about to see this huge, massive war on terror, because these cartels have gotten so big and so powerful that they are, doing big things now. Well, right now, they are essentially down in Mexico. Already, I guarantee there's intelligence assets down there. Now they're saying that they've already cleared for CIA to do stuff down there. Same thing that happened with Venezuela. In almost all of the areas that are the root base of these cartels, you have the permission to have CIA missions there, and you have permission for land operations to happen. This just happened last week with Venezuela, and now you have Mexico. So now are we going to take out all of these cartels? We are doing what every last movie and show talked about that was never possible, that the U.S. government is going to intervene in other countries with the cartels. What we've been told and what we've seen through Hollywood is the biggest fear of these cartels, that the U.S. would actually come with, their air power and their air security and actual soldiers. Heck, Landman just did a predictive programming of scenarios like we're seeing right now. But now it's happening. I think it's too close to the script of what is happening in Hollywood for it not to be some sort of cover story for something much, much bigger. I think that they're planning some sort of invasion through Mexico, and that's why we've locked down the border like there's no tomorrow. That's also why I think that we're building the Golden Dome, because we don't feel as secure as we used to with two oceans on either side, that we are so protected. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. This mission, Dex, they are talking about not only sending troops, but intelligence assets down into Mexico This is the same thing that was said about Venezuela last week. Now we have all of it happening at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, what are we doing? Are we getting ready to just go to war with Central America and South America? I mean, it seems wow. It's kind of I can't imagine the Mexican government and the president of Mexico is going to be happy about this. She hasn't been in the last times it had been mentioned. Of course, she's probably not in a position to get much done with the cartels, but let's face it, the cartels have upped their game. They are acting and organizing and financed and equipped very much like military now. So I can see why it requires a greater level of effort if you're going to go up against one of those cartel groups, because you're basically fighting a small, militarized unit.
Great comments. There's probably about 10 good comments here. First of all, the greatest one, Sun Zhao Lao, says, make the Fallout timeline science fiction again, please. I agree with that. It's pretty freaky how closely it's lining up now. And then, let's see here. Somebody says, that makes sense. There must be something bigger than what we are being told. The little data points put together seem like more. I actually don't even think they're little. Like, these are big data points. Over the last 4 years, the amount of people that came in, and now they say, this is another data point. Did you know that 6,000 on the terror list that have been put on the terror list have been given, out of these folks that came over, given social security numbers? 6,000 that were on the terror list that came over were given social security numbers. You can go look that up. That to me is just absurd. They didn't do background checks after they caught and released a lot of these people. In fact, almost all of them. Let's see here. And then, let's see here. There was another one, too, about... let's see. It just went so fast. Like, they got permission, most likely, from the president of Mexico. I don't think she would ever admit that, by the way. B. Blake, I don't think she would admit that, because she's publicly said the opposite. Jeff, thank you. I appreciate that. Living off grid, Marv. Give Tennessee some love. Well, Tennessee is always welcome here. And then, let's see. I'm still concerned about Club K container weapons. Yeah. So another thing is all of this is being done. Well, obviously we have this big fiasco going with China. The whole back and forth with us and China. It is obviously something that you can't overlook, and a lot of people have. They look at South America, they look at Mexico, they look at Venezuela, they look at all of this and forget that all of these countries are all working directly with Russia and China and Iran and all of the rest, but China is the lead of all of this. China is the money behind all of this. So, yeah, you can't forget about that. We're living Red Dawn before Red Dawn. All right. And again, make sure to go check out Jace if you haven't already. If you don't have antibiotics on hand, this is a great resource as far as right now. Well, we still have internet and phone. Use your tablet or your phone to go and do a quick appointment with a board-certified doctor and get yourself a kit with all of the most commonly prescribed antibiotics, and it will be in a handy kit delivered to your door. You can actually add things. There's an add-on list like albuterol. You can go, hey, doc, we've got an asthmatic in the house. You can get that thrown in there too. That way, during an emergency, you'll have that. They also have Jace Daily, another service that you can actually get up to a year of your regular medications or your family members' medications sent to you all at once. That way, you can rotate it in with your current prescription and always have a year if the lights go out of that regular medication that you may not or may not approve that you are stuck on. But again, whether you approve of being on a pharmaceutical, thing like that, doesn't mean that you're not hooked or have to be on it. So there's a lot of things that if you quit cold turkey, it is going to be bad news bears. All right, you guys, marfuglenews.com/Jace. Make sure to use the code MARF. Dex, thank you so much for your service tonight. I appreciate you so much.
Much love. Great job, brother.
All right, you guys, thank the mods by going over to marfuglenews.com/friends. Make sure to also go check out our friends. I haven't talked to Jacob in a while. Go check out Jacob Israel. Check out Jeff P. Go check out The Love Boat. Check out Lisa Haven. Go check out, of course, Off Grid Farming. All sorts of great people down there. Go check them out. Alaska Prepper, all day, every day, preparedness. So many great people over there. R55, what the heck are you up to? He was always doing those zoom-in videos with this crazy camera. Go check them all out. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. We'll see you tomorrow. It's time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's time for the shoutro. Top supporters tonight, Jess Julia, Me Papa 007, thank you so much for being a member for 27 months. Shout out to the mods. Olga Turan, number 2 supporter, thank you so much. Lola Cafe, super awesome to see you. You've been here forever. Obviously, every time I see your name, I think of just the quaintest, most awesome cafe in West Seattle.